Welcome back to Weird Stuff I Found in Tucson. You've chosen, or have been chosen, to witness my downward spiral into madness while I buy a bunch of rocks in the desert. And in today's episode, I track down an exceptionally rare space rock and then almost give myself asbestos poisoning. Today I'm on a mission to find a very special kind of meteorite. What I'm looking for is called a pallasite, and for those unaware, this is a stony iron meteorite that has pockets of gem-grade crystals inside of it.
You can see that this doesn't look like any of the rocks we find on Earth.
That said, the crystals inside these meteorites are very similar to something that we have right here on this horrible planet. Paradots. Or is it peridot? Doesn't matter. The point is that much like Earth paradots, these space paradots can be cut and faceted into gemstone shapes, like the ones that I set inside this necklace I made a while back, where each of those gemstones is based off of the magnitude of each star, so brighter star equals bigger stone. Just don't ask where they came from, I'm kinda not allowed to talk about that. So, back on topic, I spent the last 4 days gathering information in addition to my usual buffoonery, and one of the things I learned very quickly is that you get a lot better information if you go by word of mouth, as the internet is not exactly helpful for many of these sales. But my birth year starts with a 19, so I am ready and willing to go analog for the day. And after a quick detour where we checked out a store that sells rock and jewelry tools, we headed over to the first place that I circled on the map, the RMGM Mineral and Fossil Show. This is a fun sale. It's inside of a tent, and there was an eclectic mix of things here, including a large unopened amethyst where they just drilled 2 holes in it and shoved a light fixture up in there. Now, while the tip we got yesterday was correct, and there is indeed a vendor here selling pallasites, these weren't exactly the kind that I was looking for. A friend of mine bought a couple of them, so let me show them off while I explain what exactly I mean by that. Alright, so finding a meteorite is already pretty rare, but out of all the ones that we have found on Earth to date, only like 60 or so have those crystals inside of them. Now mind you, each of these are slightly different from one another, and they're not all created equal. If you pay attention throughout the video, you'll notice that many of the pallasites that I'm going to see are backlit when they're displayed. Now, they do this for a couple of reasons. One, it just looks cool, but more importantly, it's because many pallasites have darker crystals that look dim in normal ambient lighting. All of that's to say that I am looking for a very special pallasite that was discovered in Argentina, and trust me, you'll know why when you see it. Anyway, that sale may have been a bust, but I did follow up on that lead that I got yesterday and spoke to a couple stone vendors while I was here. Now is probably a good time to mention that the secondary objective for today is to find a slab of my favorite stone ever, Pietersite. I'll talk more about this stuff towards the end of the video, but for the moment, pay attention to those silk-like fibers that dance and shimmer as I shift the stone back and forth in the light. This is a harbinger of things to come. Either way, we got a lead on a dealer who sells this stuff, but we're going to worry about him later. For right now, we're going to move on to the next sale, the Mineral and Fossil Marketplace.
Holy fucking shit, it's a dinosaur, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
This is the sale that I've been looking forward to all week, and it certainly didn't disappoint. It takes place in a dusty lot filled with these permanent shipping container adjacent metal structures, as well as the traditional buildings as well. As the name suggests, they have fossils. Lots and lots of fossils. I've kind of become obsessed with these ones in particular. They're ammonites, but they have this opal-like surface, which, small correction from day 3, these are interference colors, it's not true opalization. Or at least I think. I actually don't know how rocks work. But what I do know is that these things absolutely can help promote wellness by defragmenting your chakras or something. I don't know, these mainly reminded me of a game for the Super Nintendo where you had to go get a rainbow shell as part of an elaborate side quest to get the best sword in the game. For the last 25 years, I just assumed they made that up, but no. Here it is right in front of me. But I didn't come here to pine for whorls, as beautiful as they may be. I'm here to buy space rocks, and it turns out the tip that I got the other day wasn't kidding. There's a lot of them here. I honestly got a bit overwhelmed with just how many were in this one building alone, but a quick look at the price tags on what the pallasites they had for sale cost brought me right back to my senses. If I ever decide to sell my soul and make those big influencer bucks, the first thing I'm going to do is buy one of these space cuboids. But that is not the reality that we live in, so I got out of there and wandered a bit until I found a shop that had a banner that said you could own a piece of the moon and thought, alright, bet. Long story short, I did in fact buy a piece of the moon, and I also got some Mars for good measure. Though I also ended up geeking out about meteorites with the shop owner for like half an hour, or well, he did, and I tried to keep up because I'm not a scientist, which became even more clear when one of the top scientists in that field randomly stopped by and joined the conversation. Yeah. If the NASA shirt that I was wearing in the previous video didn't tip you off, I kind of have a thing for space. In fact, I actually wanted to be an astronomer when I was younger. But that obviously did not pan out. However, I still took up space in school. Anyway, while that was fun, the sale ultimately did not have what I was looking for, so we decided to follow up on a tip that we got a few days ago, where someone told us that, the Russians are selling a lot of meteorites out of a hotel room at the Days Inn. So we headed over there, and wouldn't you know it, it's another rock sale. This one is called Fossil and Mineral Alley, and it's definitely a little more unhinged than the one that we were just at. Just like the other hotel sales we went to a few days ago, every single room here has been rented out and people are selling all sorts of stuff out of them. I mean, there's even a whole-ass dinosaur for sale in the parking lot. But unlike those sales, this place has a lot of stuff that you normally wouldn't expect, like antiques, curios, and other strange items, such as this vintage sticker that I found in a pile of old space program swag. There was also an antiques dealer there who was selling chunks of amber with bugs in them, and okay, before I show this off, I'm going to warn you right now, while there will be a bug on the screen, it's so small that my camera can't actually make out any of the horrible chitinous details. But if you don't want to take any chances, just put your thumb over the circle right here for a moment, and I'll let you know when it's gone. Anyway, they had a whole tray full of these things, and they were each about 20 bucks, so this was kind of an impulse buy, but I've low-key kind of always wanted a piece of amber with a bug trapped in it, and ants certainly are one of the bugs of all time. Okay, you can remove your thumb now. Moving on to less chitinous matters, there were plenty of people selling meteorites here too, and one of them even had an exceptionally rare type of iron meteorite that he assured me I would not find anywhere else. And he even wanted to give me a discount because he liked me. But, again, my birth year starts with a 19, which means I was not born yesterday. And sure enough, in the hotel room directly next door to him, there was a guy who had several kilograms of this supposedly rare meteorite loose inside of a cardboard box, which was really funny, and yeah, this is what I was alluding to on day one. By the way, the name of that meteorite is Altai, and it's really not that uncommon. Anyway, there were plenty of people selling pallasites here as well, but they were either well out of my price range or just not what I was looking for. This included that Russian contact we were given a few days ago, where we tracked them down, told them so-and-so sent us, and they led us into a room filled with pallasites and other irons. They of course had tons of pallasites from Belarus, but nothing from Argentina. I almost decided to settle on this one, but something told me to keep moving. This would turn out to be the correct choice, because our next stop was to head back to Pueblo to find that Pietersite dealer, and along the way we just so happened to hear about a seller there that apparently had exactly what I was looking for. And sure enough, at a small booth that I had passed by several times in the days before, I found it. This is the Esquel pallasite. It is, hands down, one of the most coveted pallasites among collectors and rock nerds alike due to the beautiful, colorful, and relatively clear crystals. The moment I saw this thing on the table, I knew it was the one. It was also well under the budget that I had set, which means that I get to use the rest of that money on other weird rocks. This thing is just everything I wanted. I have worked with client-supplied pallasites in the past, and ever since then I have always wanted a slice of this unearthly crystal suspended in this weird metal matrix. Out of everything else we got the entire week, this is my favorite, and it's not even close. But you know what is close? That Pietersite vendor. Oh boy, is there gonna be a payoff to what I said at the beginning of the video. So, we finally tracked the guy down, I ended up buying several slices of Pietersite from him, and then when we got back to the hotel room, I was fondly regarding these new treasures when I noticed that there was some fuzz stuck to the edges of them. That's weird, I thought. Maybe they caught the bag somewhere and some of the cotton got stuck to... And it was at this moment that my subconscious started metaphorically spraying me with a water bottle and screaming while my two remaining brain cells pulled up a neat piece of trivia about Pietersite that I'd forgotten. Remember that pretty fibrous shimmer that this stone has? Yeah, those are asbestos fibers, or rather they were at one point. Again, I don't know how rocks work, but from what I understand, those fibers basically get encased or replaced with quartz over an exceptionally long period of time, but sometimes that process doesn't happen fully, and you can end up with pockets of this hell fluff in or around the stone. And to make matters worse, that forbidden cotton candy isn't just asbestos, it's blue chrysotolite, which is one of the most dangerous kinds of asbestos. So I slowly and calmly put the stuff down, and then promptly lost my shit in the hotel room as I septuple bagged this thing and stuffed the whole mesothelioma turducken inside of a plastic container. Later on, I would talk to people who have been part of this industry longer than I've been alive, and they assured me that maybe this was a little bit of an overreaction, but I don't know. I'm not taking any chances. But just to add insult to injury, as we were walking back from the parking lot, I finally noticed the gigantic banner over the hotel room that we passed like 6 times that day. In bold, gigantic, red letters, it proclaimed that they specialize in selling Pietersite. We went to the wrong vendor. Anyway, that's it for today. Stay tuned for the next episode where I fail to beat the lead poisoning allegations after buying something that's arguably much more dangerous.